I was about 12 years old. I need to tell the story. And my dad had a brother that was a little bit of a drinker. And we stayed in Hartbeespoort. And my granddad gave me a little bit of a rowing boat. And my uncle went out and he borrowed it and he went to fish. And when he came back, the boat basically sank. That's quite interesting. I think maybe he sold it. But then my dad told me, you know what, Russell, you can lie to everybody, but as long as you don't lie to yourself, you're okay. And I think that stuck with me for the rest of my life, to be really conscious about my own position in life. In business, if you're not honest about what you're doing and what you're doing to other people, and if you're not solving somebody else's problem, you're not truthful. You can only be successful in a business if you're truthful about the service you're giving. And that's the only way you're going to sustain. Most of you have heard about Toyota, and Toyota's got a system in the West, they call it Six Sigma. And out of Six Sigma is basically root cause analysis. You want to get to the root cause of any problem. But how can you get to the root cause of a problem if you're not honest about it? So you have to get the team involved, and the team needs to understand that if they're not truthful about the problem, they will not get to the root. The big problem usually in companies, people are not included to really get to the root cause of this problem. And I've tried this in different manners. Really, this is such a huge problem in any business, to motivate people to get out of themselves and get over themselves to be truthful about a problem. Because usually our nature say it's not our fault, it's definitely somebody else's. Oh, no, it's the machine broke. Why did the machine broke? And in our business, that's the second question. So first of all, you constantly start with why. If something breaks, we definitely need to find out why. Can we solve it? How do we solve it in the long run? And without honesty of a team, you won't get to the root cause. And I do think that God wants the same with us. He wants us to be honest about where we are. We are hugely complex people. Human beings are usually in chaos. How do we solve this chaos in our own lives? I'm constantly in an emotional roller coaster. And so my feeling on this is, if you're not truth and honest with yourself, you are really on a slippery slope. The rest of the principles that we usually do in our business is like the win-win, the start with why. You need to put yourself in other person's shoes. And that's quite an interesting one for me. I mean, if I do not know what you want, I would not sell anything to you. So sometimes in business, we want what we want and not what the client wants. And I think in the Bible, it's the same thing. Be very conscious to the other person's needs. And we need to stand together in anything. We need to include. Inclusiveness is really the best thing that you can do in a business. And all these books, if you read Built to Last or Good to Great, most of this business and the same principle gets to the bottom of you need to include everybody's DNA in decisions. And it's a journey to really get to that. And we always try to fight that because as a strong leader or as a strong personality, you think you've got the answers. There's another interesting thing that I've been following recently, and that's the wisdom of crowds. And maybe to demonstrate it a little bit, there was a submarine that went down and sunk, and they got all, or say 10 specialists to go and say, where do they think this submarine would be found? And so they put it on a map, and there was different dots on the map. And one clever guy said, no, let me take all 10 of these with some kind of formula. ended up to get a different dot. And that was the place where it was found. So we sometimes think that we have the answer, but the answer is in the wisdom of crowds. And that is why God wants us to work together. And that's why we need to be brothers and sisters. So I really believe that trust and honesty is the only way that you can work in the long run. It's extremely selfish for me as a businessman to just follow that, because it's actually very profitable to be truthful in your business. So I'm a little bit selfish by doing it. It's sometimes very hard on people because we call it brutal honesty to get to the root cause. We're not trying to hurt people by being truthful, but we feel that if you're not truthful towards people that's working with you and for you, you're hurting them in the long run more.